Hello, fellow gunners. Tim here, the reloading bench. Just having a little cup of coffee. Uh, I normally like Maxwell House, but I've noticed in the last year when I get low, my wife's been buying the coffee before I get a chance to either go or tell her what I want, and she's been buying Folgers. So I've been drinking Folgers for the past year. Yeah. Oh well, coffee's good. Yeah, I want to touch on right off the bat just a little American Missouri history. Today's the 156th anniversary of the Battle of Oaks Hill. Oak Hills. Got my ass in the wrong spot. Imagine that. Well, anyway, some of you Yankees probably call it the Battle of Wilson Creek. That's what it's known as here in Missouri too. But back in the day, Confederates called it the Battle of Oak Hills. It all started months before with a meeting with General Sterling Price and Governor Jackson at that time in St. Louis. They met with, I don't remember, Higgins and General Lyon of the Union. And meeting didn't go too good for General Price and Sterling Price and Jackson. And it ended with Lyons giving a threat to all Missourians that he would rather see every man, woman, and child in the state of Missouri dead before they did not recognize the Union. And the ironic thing about that is on this day, back 156 years ago, Lyon met his fate on Bloody Hill at the Battle of Wilson Creek. Okay, now my video is that's the history. Now my video is on doing with what you have. Now the Confederate Army at that time, most people say they had shotguns and squirrel guns. So they were really not equipped for warfare. They were more equipped for hunting. But they done with what they had. And they fought a lot of good battles with what they had, their shotguns and their squirrel guns. And at first made a pretty good impression on the Union. Actually scared the Union pretty bad. But then, the funds withered away, and the Union, of course, with most of the people, they could replace people in the army and more than what the Southerners could, and finally won the war. But with what I was saying, it kind of reminds me of my dad. My dad, he's been gone now for 28 years. Prostate cancer got him. But he had two guns. As far back as I can remember, he had two guns. He had a Remington Target Master and an Ithaca Featherlight 20 gauge. And he didn't do much shooting. The only time he shot was to kill something. And that's just the way he was. He didn't believe in spending money. boy, you're wasting a shell shooting at cans. Or, clay pigeons or whatever. At the time I'd use his guns. And I can remember one time I told him, I said, Dad, I'm going to clean your gun. And I can remember throwing that first patch through there with the cleaning rod and just ribbons of lead coming out of the rifling and going, oh my gosh. But he did with what he had, He, that's what he needed and that's what he had. Now, when we got older and I got into shooting, I had 357 and he bought him a 357. Then later he got a little Marlin and a 357, and he got into shooting a little bit more then, in the later years. But like me, you get into shooting sports and stuff, and I got into that cowboy action shooting, and man, that was a hoot. And I started out, I had a little 4-inch Black Hawk and a 6-inch Black Hawk, and then just, your balance was off, and one gun had a real stiff trigger, and the other one had an air trigger, and then I had a Winchester 9-shot carbine, little Ranger. I miss that little gun. On my 10th shot, if we were shooting 10-shot targets, I would have to pull a shot out of my vest and slap it in there, and it'd cost me a couple of seconds. But, I was having so much fun that between jacking the action open and reaching in, I'd turn around and talk to the guy that was getting my time down, and go back to shooting. It's just a hoot. Then, I got into that phase to where, what, these guns are just not what I need, And I'm out of all the shooters, I always was in the middle of the pack all the time, right in the middle of the pack. And, that's my shooting ability. That wasn't the guns, it was not the guns at all. That was my shooting ability. But, you get this thought in your head that, I'm kind of lopsided here with a 4-inch barrel and a 6-inch barrel, and having to pull hard on this one and just barely touching the trigger on the other one. And, then having to jack that action open on my carbine to put a shell in. You can just do better. I could just do better if I had, better guns. So I got it in my head that I wanted to go all stainless. Just everything, stainless. I bought some Vaqueros. They was highly polished, 44 mags. Put stag grips on them. Oh, they were, consecutive serial numbers. I ordered them from Davison's. And they were good guns. And then I wanted a carbine to match in 44 mag. All these were 44 mags. And at the time, I couldn't get one. My dealer kept trying to get it. And it just, at the time they were back ordered and stuff, because cowboy action shooting at that time was really popular. And they were just, guns were going as fast as you could get them. And, but in my mind, I kept thinking, boy, if I just had them good-looking guns. Well, you know what? They didn't make me miss any better. They made me look better missing, but they didn't make me miss any better. I didn't miss too much. But, the point is, the guns don't make the shot. You're the one that makes the shot. And, you can think all you want that there's a gun out there that's going to make me an expert shooter. There's not, guys. The gun don't make the shooter. The shooter makes the shot. And, I just want to touch on that. And it's just funny how your thoughts go with such things. I can remember after I'd shoot and get off the line, this one guy in particular, he's always coming up to me. He said, "Boy, I wish I could master my double action or my double-barreled shotgun like you do." He said, "If I could do that, I could shave my time off so much." And at the time, I knew what he was saying, but I couldn't understand. I thought he shot his shotgun very well. And, it hit me that he was having trouble. Now, I don't know if a lot of you have seen cowboy action shooting, but when you open that breech open on that double barrel, you want to pump it forward and pump that full of air and get them shells out because they don't have an ejector. You can't have an ejector during the cowboy action shoot. And then, you've always got your hand on the two shells going in. You just slide them in and go. He just couldn't get that down. And it's probably because he was using the 12-gauge, could get his fingers around the 12-gauge shells. Who knows? But, like I said, I just knew that if I had prettier guns or better guns. Well, I finally gave up on the 44 mag, and I ended up with, and I traded off my Vaqueros. I got two 41 Magnum 4-inch Blackhawks and got a Marlin 41 Magnum fancy grip. Oh, it was a beautiful gun. And I started shooting it, practicing with it. Then I went to reload and could not reload the brass from the carbine because this was right when Remington had bought out Marlin, and they didn't know that they had to adjust the slop in their machinery to get their measurements right. And the chamber was so big that the casings wouldn't fit in my sizing die to size them down. It's a beautiful gun. But yeah, guys, I just wanted to do a little coffee chat. Wanted to get my 2 cents in. Thanks, guys, for having me. Thanks for watching. Remember to share, like, subscribe. See you in the next video, guys.